Good evening, everyone. The date today is February 27, 2017. The time is 5:30 p.m. This is the meeting of the Paris City Council, and I'm going to call the meeting to order. We will start the meeting as usual with invocation by Chaplain Bob Seal, followed by Pledge of Allegiance by Ms. Lancaster. If I can have everyone please stand.
Would you pray with me? Merciful Father, we come into your presence this evening, thanking you so much and praising you for who you are. And Lord, that you've blessed us to live in a free country where the people run the government. We lift up the city council to you, Lord, because you have instructed us to pray for our leaders. We pray, Lord, you'll give them the wisdom, Lord, and give us peace, give us harmony. Lord, if we praise you, express our love, and the blessing of living in the greatest place in the world, Paris, Texas. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is the Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes. Unless an item is posted on the agenda, the Texas Open Meeting Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city, council member, or employees, as well as individual personnel appeals, are not appropriate for the Citizens Forum. The Citizens Forum is now open. If you want to address, please come forward, state your name, and write it for the record.
I wanted to be last, not first, but I'm first. My name is Bill Strathern, and I represent the Lamar County Republican Party. I'm the elected chairman. And I'm here to talk, and I live at 4905 Trails End, Paris, Texas, 75460. And I'm here to make a few comments this evening on item 14. Relates to the PEDC. First of all, I'd like to commend the City Council for their steadfast efforts to improve the actions of the PEDC. And of course, it starts with the board. And the fact that you're trying to open up from the city limits themselves to the whole county so that we can man the PEDC from everybody across the county that you select. And that, in effect, immediately doubles the opportunity for people to serve. And I think that's great. It'll give you a selection process that's much larger than you have now. Just a moment, though, about the PEDC. The PEDC, is, as you all know, is there to create new jobs, primary jobs, and to, of course, keep the ones we do have. And it's interesting to note that the way you measure whether they're successful or not, all baloney aside, is by seeing what happens to the tax base. And by that I don't mean the tax rate, but the tax base. So you want to create primary jobs, and those primary jobs will bring additional taxes to the city and so on and so forth. Well, we haven't been all that successful with the PEDC if you measure it by that standard. And that's why I'm so pleased that you're going to broaden the base of the selection process and where you can get it from. I would like to take one moment to say two things. One is that I know you understand the judiciary responsibility, fiduciary responsibility of what you have to do with the PEDC since you're having tax money and since you make the selection. But the second part, I think, is there's a moral obligation there. And the moral obligation goes something like this. The county people pay sales tax The sales tax is used to pay for the PEDC, but the county people don't have a vote. Now, you may have laws that back that up, and that's well and good, but the thing I want to point out, not all laws are fair, and that's really not fair. Let's just take, for example, if you guys decide that only those people in Johnson Woods can be on the PEDC. Everybody else in Paris that pays sales taxes can't. Everybody in the county that pays sales taxes cannot. So I'd like to just compliment you on the fact that you're working towards improving the PEDC by improving the board. This morning at coffee, somebody
Mr. Stratton,
reminded
your
me.
time, you've gone over by a minute and a half.
I'm sorry, Dr. Hockey. Thank you very much and good luck.
My name is Lawrence Malone. I'm Precinct 1 County Commissioner of Lamar County, and I'm here to thank y'all for putting this on the agenda because I support y'all, this council appointing a resident of Lamar County. I think there's some valuable resources out there that could contribute. We know that some of them were all about economic development, and I think there's some people out there that can really contribute to that, men and women, and I'm just here to support that. I guess I didn't give you my address, but do you need my home address when I speak?
If you can just write it down
Okay,
when you get done speaking.
just give it to you later?
You can just write it down on the sheet of paper there.
Okay, I'll write it. But anyway, I'm here in support of that, and I think Lamar County in Paris, Texas is the greatest place on earth. I want to raise my family here, and I want to see it prosper from my kids and grandkids. And I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for y'all's service, for what you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Malone.
Good evening. My name is Ronnie Bass. I'm a county commissioner, Lamar County Precinct 3. I reside at 3717 County Road 32500, Paris, Texas 75460. And I stand before you for the subject 14 tonight as well, of establishing county residents being eligible for the PEDC. I really believe that right now in Texas and Paris and Lamar County, we have a real opportunity to grow. Industrial growth is what we need. I campaigned on that during my campaign for Precinct 3 Commissioner, in that I would like to build our revenues off of growth and not increasing the tax rate. As long as we can keep our tax rate low, we can spur growth and we can show a very good economy with new jobs and good paying jobs. I think PEDC is important in that, along with Chamber of Commerce. And I am supportive of maybe 1 or 2 or 3 residents out of the county being appointed to that board. And you guys control that key, so you'll be making that decision. It's not us, so you still have control. But I think there's a lot of people retired out in the county with a lot of background in marketing, and I believe that's one thing we need in the PEDC board is a good marketer. And I'd be willing to be can't be on the PEDC board, but I will say this, as a community leader and a leader of Lamar County, I stand with you guys on the city council for growth. And saying that to say this, I think right now we need strong leaders. And I'd like to thank you for what you do for the citizens of Paris and also for Lamar County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bass. Anybody else wanting to address the council? If nobody else is wanting to address the council, the Citizens Forum is now closed. We'll go to the next agenda item, which is the consent agenda. Any of the council members have any questions or concerns about it? Yes, Ms. Lancaster?
Number 11, I would like to ask the city manager, on the downtown sidewalk improvement projects, which we've had several and very successful, I would like to know what criteria leads to picking the sidewalks that we do each year.
The main thing is foot traffic and quality of the actual surface. We've done it, of course, on all 4 sides of the plaza as well. And this is specifically, as I'm sure you read, it's is some sidewalks on Southwest First Street, and then for 2017, which won't get built until 2018 because of the way the grant works, we've got 2 blocks on Bonham that are planned.
How do you measure the foot traffic?
Just based on business and just visual inspections, you just know some sidewalks are busier than others. And that's kind of a catch-22 because it may be that if you have an area that doesn't have businesses on it, if you build a sidewalk, that'll encourage businesses. It's a different way of looking at it, but historically, that's what they've done here in Paris, and we've continued that.
Well, I know the ones that we have built on Bonham made an impact almost immediately, and I wish we could find the money to make that a larger investment, because I think it's just so needed in our downtown area. So,
Anything else, anyone? All right, I'd like to take a motion on this item, on the consent agenda.
Make a motion, we accept the consent agenda.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No, motion carries. Next, we move to the regular agenda item. Item number 14 is discuss and act on expansion of the Paris Economic Development Corporation's board membership to include the Lamar County residents. This item was placed by me on the agenda, and there were a number of reasons why I wanted to put it on the agenda. The first reason being that, you know, whether it's the city or whether it's the county, we are part and parcel of each other. The city doesn't live without the county doesn't live without the city. There are plenty of people from the county who come in and buy stuff in the city, and they certainly contribute to the sales tax money that we eventually get. On a separate note, I also feel that in the past, for whatever reasons, I think the county and city have not worked together as closely as they should for the betterment of the community. And I felt that if we took the first step forward in including them as part of our economic development, I think it will create a good atmosphere between the city and the county to work together. That's number one. Now, number two, you know, at the time of board selections, we have always had, and I'm not trying to say we've had good people, bad people, but the bottom line is that just by including the county into it, you just increase the total number of people that can be included on the board. And certainly there are plenty of people in the county who may have had very good experience in the past, who we exclude at this point from our Economic Development Corporation, and who might give very good input into further development and progress of the Economic Development Corporation. So those were some of the thoughts that I felt that we should think about and we should include, and I'm going to open it up for discussion. But I do want to remind, and I want to thank the county commissioners who are here, and I do want to remind them that hopefully the other council members will agree with me to include the county, but we might one of these days come to your county commissioners meetings and make requests certainly to maybe remove one of the things which is still existent in the old courthouse. So I do plan to come and make requests on that too. So certainly you are welcome to come here, but don't expect that it's going to be a one-way street. So with that said, I'm going to open the thing for discussion. Ms. Drake?
One question that I did have is, if this is approved tonight, are we looking at having a certain amount of people to serve on the board that are county residents and city residents, or just as a whole, anybody can apply, sort of like, is it the airport board that can serve both? No, we have another board. I think it's the airport board, isn't it?
When I had put it down, I think if we start getting into the nitty-gritty of it,
That was my,
I think that would not be very right.
Well,
I
that-
think it should
fine,
just
yeah.
be opened up, and when it's opened up, irrespective of the number of residents from the city or the county, whoever is most qualified and whoever is the best should be selected.
well, that was my thought, but I just wanted to know if there was something coming from there. Personally, you know, I think with the city and the county working together like this and the citizens together like this, that if we had a business that was looking to come to Paris/Lamar County, that this might be a positive for us as the city, that, oh, looky there, they don't have separate issues, they all work together, and I think that would be, myself personally, I think that would be a good thing. But that's all I have right now.
Dr. Clifford?
Yeah, I think a lot of the people have already said some of the same things I was going to say. Expanding the pool of eligible applicants is a good idea. The council still maintains control over who gets on the board and who doesn't get on the board. So we're free to pick. It'll just make the choices more numerous, and also will improve, hopefully, relationships between the city and the rest of the county. So yeah, I'm very much in favor of this.
Mr. Trinado?
Well, I think it's a good idea, and everybody said I agree with, but this will make us looking like, the county and the city, we're all working together to get us to go forward, and that's what I want right there. Let's get together, let's move the city, the county, and this whole area. Thank you.
Mr. Jenkins?
I'm all in favor for it. I agree with it.
Ms. Lancaster?
I think we're missing a big opportunity if we don't include those people in the county. There's a lot of talent out there that we could use. So I'm for it.
Well, then I'd like to make a motion that the bylaws of the Paris Economic Development Council be amended, and that county residents be applied for those positions starting whenever the next vacancies come up.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. The motion carries. Item number 15, discuss and act on an ordinance amending Chapter 5 Animals and Fowls, Section 5, 3B2, Animal Control of City of Paris, Texas, to provide for collection of a fee for administration of a kennel cough vaccination in certain instances. Mr. Hunley,
Mr. Mayor.
nice and short.
Yes, sir. We need to pass this. Thank you. No. When we changed the ordinance here a meeting or so ago back to allow LCHA to do the vaccinations, when we get animals that come into the shelter, dogs mainly, when they come in and they're getting that vaccination and they're being reclaimed by their owners, it's kind of our feeling that the owner should be responsible for that cost instead of LCHA. They're doing a lot to improve the overall health of the entire shelter, and we think it's only fair that somebody that reclaims their animal goes ahead and takes care of that cost.
Anyone has any questions? All right, I'll make
Make a motion that we
approve.
this.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. Item number 16, item number 16, discuss and act on an ordinance declaring unopposed candidates in Council District 4, 5, and 7 for May 6, 2017 general election to the office, determining that no general election be held and directing that a certificate of election be issued to the unopposed candidates. Janice?
All three candidates were unopposed. The time to sign up has passed, and so we just need to, if you all will pass this, asking that they be elected, and then they'll actually take office in May.
Okay. I'll make a motion.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. There is one clarification I want on this.
Okay.
If you remember, we have a bond election thing,
Yeah, this is
and
just.
this is for just this. I
ju-
want-
Just
yeah.
the council race.
Yeah, so just want to clarify
We'll still
that.
have the citywide election.
Yeah. All right. Item number 17 is discuss developmental practices, procedures, and act on streamlining of the permitting process. Now, I had put this item back on the agenda. This item has gone back and forth multiple times. And we got a presentation last time from the city engineer. It was a good presentation, but it left a lot of things which I desired, which were not there in it. And there were some concerns that I had, and I'm going to start some with the complaints first, and then we will see if we can find some solutions. So, addressing the city engineer, one of the comments that you made last time was under special circumstances, it could take as long as 3 months to get a permit. Now, I find that extremely bad. Yes, there may be reasons that you might have to delay something for a period of time, but to say that somebody will not have a permit to do what they want to do for 3 months, I find it very, very disgusting. And the reason for that is it discourages people, and maybe you don't hear about it, but I'm sure all of us have heard about it, about complaints that the city is unfriendly, that the city doesn't want to help businesses progress, etc., etc. And I think some of those businesses that I have some concerns, I don't want to go into specific names, but I think I've addressed them with the city manager and he can discuss it with you. But I think irrespective of what the situation is, we need to have a reasonable time, and it's not 3 months. If we have to, if as the council we have to come back and meet sooner, well then we have all taken this job voluntarily, and if it has to be done sooner, then we meet again as a special meeting. But I think to keep people waiting for months at a stretch for not being able to get permits is very, very wrong, I think. Number two, I also feel very strongly that, you know, times change, people change, and rules change. But I find it very difficult that once the city has signed off on some paperwork, to go back and tell that person, well, the city engineer changed, or the city inspector changed, or something else changed, or our rule changed, and so now you do go back and restart reinvent your wheel and do this all over again. I find it very, very disturbing. I think if the city has signed a permit, you know, think it over before you sign. But once you've signed it, it's a done deal. It should not be left open for a second engineer or a third engineer or second inspector or Bureau Veritas or I don't know, whoever does whatever, to come back and say, well, it's out of compliance. Well, it may be out of compliance then, but it was in compliance, which is why it approved. And if it was out of compliance then and it got approved, well, guess what? Deal with it. But I find it very disturbing that that happens, and it has come to our attention, and I've mentioned it with Mr. Godwin, and I have to say one thing, that Mr. Godwin has been absolutely fabulous in this, in helping those situations out. So those are some of my comments. The other third comment that I want to mention right now is also the fact that, you know, people find it scary to come and talk to the city. You know, and I don't know what the reason is, because I wouldn't be scared in saying whatever I feel like saying, but people find it very scary to come to the city and ask, or if they are denied, to come back to the city and say that, you know, this was wrong, or whatever their concern was, or it's being delayed, etc. And what ends up happening is that they get scared that they will suffer some consequences. And I'm not saying that they have suffered those consequences, but they are scared of coming and asking for permits. And so my feeling on this is that if a situation comes where somebody is having a difficulty, we as a council appoint a board which is the district person from that, the council members from that district, a second individual from that district, and the city manager meet with these people, and it be publicly announced that if anybody is having any kind of difficulty with obtaining a permit from the city, whether they feel that they are wrongly being denied, and I know that there's a board of adjustments, but this is not, I'm not talking about a board of adjustment. I'm talking about the fact that it needs to be straightened out way before we get to a situation of getting to board of adjustment. And I think if the city manager, the district council person from that district, and an independent person from the district can meet and solve that person's problem, I think that should be done. Because otherwise I think people get very frustrated, to the point that I've actually heard of some people wanting to move businesses out of, they'd rather go to Reno and they'd rather go somewhere else to get the thing settled, or go to some other place where they don't have. And maybe in those cities, maybe those rules are not exercised as cautiously, and I don't know that for a fact, but whatever it is, we need to be helpful to people rather than make their life difficult. And lastly, what I'd like to say is that there really needs to be a fixed time period for when a permit should be issued. You apply today, and under the worst case scenarios, maybe 7 days, 10 days as a time limit that you will have an answer. But I think to wait for 3 months for an answer, it's just beyond me. So that's all I have to say. I'll open it up to other council members, and then we'll see. Mr. Godwin has some suggestions of what can be done. Ms. Drake.
The only thing that I have had anybody say to me is how long it takes to get a permit, and just wondering if we could streamline that. And so I would be interested to see what y'all have come up with on that.
Dr. Clifford?
Yeah, I'd be real interested in streamlining it, getting it quicker. I don't want to relax the safety standards that are in place that protect the people, and I don't want to get in a bad situation in that regard, but surely there's a way we can streamline this and make it quicker without sacrificing the rules, the policies that protect us from bad construction or fire hazards, things like that. But I mean, I agree with Dr. Hofstra. I think it's a very good idea to get a kind of the go-between board that the citizens could go to. Otherwise, our phones just ring, and then we have to call Mr. Godwin, and we get people together and find out what's going on, and we may not know the ins and outs of it. So I think it's a really good idea as well.
Mr. Tornado?
I think this is a good idea also. Just last week, I talked to 3 people about the building codes, and they just really didn't like them. They said they need to be updated and gotten to them quicker. And that's really all I have, but I agree with everything that's been said.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. If there's a way of getting it done pretty quicker, I'm in agreement with it.
Ms. Lancaster?
I'm all for streamlining the permitting process as long as we do not jeopardize the inspection part of that. We have too many incidences in the past where we just didn't even open our eyes and see how badly an area was. And I called to mind the Christians in Action Fire, where if there was any inspecting done, I surely didn't see it. And we had our largest loss of life in that fire than we did in 1916. And that was pretty bad. So we don't want to lose anything in the streamlining, which I'm all for, as long as we are inspecting all of the things that are being done.
And I'm going to let Mr. Godwin say something, but I do want to say one other thing before I finish on this. And that is, please remember one other thing when you're doing all of this. There's some buildings in downtown which are worse unoccupied than occupied. And some of the expense that is required to bring them completely to code maybe a lot more than the actual cost of the building. And if we continue with that kind of an approach, those buildings will stay empty and will be a bigger hazard than trying to negotiate and making them safer, but by the same token, doing something or the other so that we can have them fixed and without such an expenditure on those buildings that it becomes prohibitive for people to do anything with. So, Mr. Godwin?
Excuse me. Just 3 things. One is, and I won't go through the details of it, but we've been meeting for the last several weeks, off and on, several of us, and we've come up with a pretty lengthy list of internal things that we will do and have already started doing with our meetings, with our pre-development meetings, with our permitting processes and so forth. One of the problems we continue to have is causing delay. Well, I won't get into that. Delays are delays, and they're our responsibility for whatever the reason. So anyway, we're working on those things internally. 2 things externally that we need assistance from the council from, and these are only 2 out of the about 19 things on our list, but they're the ones that directly affect you. One is, and I mentioned this in an email or maybe the memo or maybe both, there's actually a building standards, not a building standards, there's a building review board or a building board that was created by ordinance a number of years ago, and I don't know why it was discontinued. I don't know if that was 10 years ago or 20 years ago, But it exists. And again, you don't want everything, like you say, to have to go to a board, and they meet once a month, and it slows the whole thing down. They're better off not going. But it is a valuable board, and most cities have that. In most cases, it's an active one. And it's a board of, I forget now, 5 or 7 members, but there are people who are actually in the trade. So there's a carpenter, an electrician, and a plumber, people who know more than I do. I can meet with those people, and sometimes I can, we met with the church, and that went great, I think. But I'm not a technician when it comes to stuff like that. So I would like to ask that when we appoint new boards, which is coming up in May, that we let Janice go ahead and include that board as when we advertise for members. The second thing that we'd like to do, and I mentioned this to you several months ago in the ISO that comes out. Most of us know about ISO coming out and making fire ratings, and it affects your insurance rates, Insurance Service Organization. They also do it based on our building inspections and permitting and so forth. One of the shortages we have is our codes are really old. And Mr. Toronto mentioned this, our codes are really old, and especially when we have people from out of town that come and build, and we want to have more and more of that. They're like, gee, we're used to the 2013 code, and you're still using the 2002 and 2003. So what we'd like to do is bring those new codes to you for adoption here in the next couple of meetings as well. So those are 2 things that we'd ask you to help us with, and then we'll continue to work on our end as well. I'm certainly happy to ask any questions you have, or we can have Carla go over the list, but you probably don't want to hear that, but we can provide you that information later if you want.
Anyone has any questions on this?
No, if we're, like you said, if we're still working under old codes, we definitely need to probably look at these new codes.
And it can even affect folks' insurance rates if we get those new ones adopted, so.
Absolutely.
But again, I will say one other thing on this, that yes, it's good to adopt new codes, but.
Yeah, that's not the problem.
That's not the problem,
And let's not adopt those codes that may be new, but they make the life even harder than what it already exists.
Right.
And so
I agree.
when you adopt it, be reasonable about adopting codes that affect our city. Now, you may have codes which are adopted as international fire codes in New York City. If you start applying all those codes for Paris, it's not going to work.
Yeah, and not to get into that tonight, but we will have a series of local amendments to all of those international codes as well, so to make it more common sense to our community.
More common sense and more, and we want it to be more user-friendly.
Correct.
Yeah. And then I think if you are suggesting that board, then I don't think we need to have necessarily a council member, etc. I think if we can have it not just as a board, but anytime anyone is having a problem, they can approach those people and they can get in touch with you. I think I'm perfectly fine with that.
Okay, great.
But as long as there is some recourse, because it shouldn't just happen, whether it's the First National Bank building or whether it's the church building, which, it is frustrating. And I think particularly like in a situation of a church, every member of that church knows that the city gave them a hard time. Do we want that kind of reputation?
No.
Okay.
No. And again, not to beat it to death, but the value to the board is, I had a meeting with somebody just this morning in business with a couple other employees, and I'm happy to meet with anybody, but a lot of times I don't know what we're talking about. And, building codes is not my specialty, and neither is fire codes. So it would be good to have neutral folks from the community who do that stuff for a living. And again, most cities have that. Most larger cities have that. Our size and bigger.
I would still say, having had this experience, I would still say that you should be a part and parcel of it, because I think you've been very helpful to people
participate.
and you've gotten things done. So
I would stay with it. Yes, absolutely.
All right. So you have some direction, I think, an opinion from all of us.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right.
Me too.
Item number 18 is consider approval of a new standard facility lease to be used for the city-owned hangars at Coxfield Airport.
These are, of course, again, city-owned hangars. We've got a city-owned hangar under construction right now. Unfortunately, because of the cost of those, we're only going to have 4 spaces instead of the 8 or 10 we'd hoped for, but it is 4 and more. And we've learned over the last couple of years that we've got many different versions of the hangar lease. Some of them are 3 or 4 pages, and one of them was like 40 pages long. So I drafted a fairly rough, I guess, new lease, so it would be the standardized lease for all the new ones and then all the old ones when they're renewed, so that we'd have a single lease for everybody. Met with the airport board 6 weeks or so ago. They had a few changes that they recommended, and then I subsequently met with the flight-based operator. The city attorney, we made a few more changes, and then week before last, met with the airport board a second time, and they unanimously recommended approval of the ordinance that you have in your packet.
All right. Any of the council members have any questions, concerns? No. Mr. Godwin, what is the lease for hangars right now? What is the amount?
The cost, we left the cost blank because we're actually building one, and in the past, we've not recouped our own cost. And so we want to determine what the final cost is for this, and then prorate that out the annualized cost, so that we're at least recouping our cost. In the past,
That's
we've
why
not
I
done
was
that.
asking that, because
Yeah.
the thing,
That's been one of our problems.
How many people are on the waiting list for the hangars?
20-something, last I heard. I think that's probably still right.
Kind of supply and demand, that suggests that we're kind of a bargain.
Clearly, we are a bargain, and everybody's not even paying the same thing. And so that's why we need a standardized lease, and we need a price that's legitimate. We've also done a survey, well, the PEDC did a survey a few months ago of other airports, what they're charging. I've gotten some information from Jerry Ritchie just the other day about a couple of airports too. So we'll make it a logical fee. So they should be paying their own way at least, rather than subsidized. So that's an issue, and that's what we're going to address.
and I very strongly feel that if you can afford to buy an airplane and keep an airplane, you can afford to pay for the hangar as well.
They're not very expensive.
And so, and the other thing that I will also say is that, the rental prices of homes have gone up in Paris. Sale property prices of the property for sale have gone up. So I cannot figure out why the price of hangar rental remains the same.
Well, the price of constructing a hangar has obviously gone up because the original expectation was to get 8 hangars, and we only got 4. Now, a lot of that includes tarmac and so forth, but
And
still.
so you'll bring something back?
Yes, we'll bring
with-
that back to the airport advisory board and then bring it back to the council after we get input from them.
Okay. Do we need to approve this today, or do you want to bring that up first?
I'd like
and
to
then-
go ahead and have you approve it now, just in case something changes, that we can move forward with it. Make it so that people know it's our standard, so we can give it to people that are looking.
I'll make a motion to approve it, but I'd like in the motion also written down that subject to approval of repricing and re-rental fees to be determined at a later date.
I'll second you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No.
Thank you.
All right, item number is 19. The time is 6:07 PM. We convene into executive session pursuant to 551.071 of Texas Government Code, consultations with attorney to receive legal advice from the city attorney about pending or contemplated litigation or in matters in which the duty of an attorney to his or her client under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflict with this chapter as follows. Gladfelder versus City of Paris and Paris Economic Development Corporation, 416 CV 938, Eastern District of Texas, Sherman Division. So the time now is 6:07 PM, and we'll go into executive session. The time is 6:24 PM, and we are out of the executive session. The matter which was discussed was Gladfelder versus City of Paris and Paris Economic Development Corporation. The city attorney gave her advice to us, and we listened patiently to it. All right. The next item on the agenda is item 21, discuss and act on penalties applied to the First National Bank Building, 104 Bonham Street. You want to quickly explain this?
Back at the last meeting, you had forgiven the penalties on 104 Bonham from the date they started accruing until the date of that meeting. On the last Monday, which was 7 days after you did that, the Building Standards Commission voted to vacate that order on penalties. So if what you want to do is forgive all of them, then you need to vote to forgive the penalties and interest that accrued in the 7 days between your meeting and when the BSC vacated that. And that's going to be a total of...
It doesn't matter, the total was higher before. I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
It's like $702.49.
Item number 22 is consider and approve future events for the city council and city staff pursuant to resolution number 2004-081. Mr. Godwin, I have a request. There is a tremendous amount of litter in the city. You just have to go down the streets. We need to have a coordinated effort and see if the sheriff and the prison director at Bonham can help us out, and if we can participate and maybe do a, collection drive on all of these, I'm not asking city crew to do it, so if we can maybe talk to the sheriff and others and see if we can get some help and collect that. Anybody else? No. Item number 23 is adjournment, so I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? All right, thank you very much.